This is Bill Brady, Ecclesia Framework, speaking today about wisdom for reigning. I'm going to pull up and share screen with you and show you Proverbs chapter 8, beginning at verse 12. Wisdom speaking, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogance and the evil way. And the perverse mouth I hate. Counsel is mine and sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have strength. By me kings reign and rulers decree justice. By me princes rule and nobles, all the judges of the earth. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently will find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yes, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I traverse the way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of justice, that I might cause those who love me to inherit wealth, that I may fill their treasuries. It's much about wealth in there. Verse 20, I traverse the way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of justice. Wisdom walks in the way of righteousness, and she's to be found in the midst of the paths of justice. And she says, by me kings reign and rulers decree justice. By me princes rule and nobles, all the judges of the earth. You are a king. You're learning to reign. In order to reign, you need wisdom. As a king, you will be decreeing justice. You need wisdom to do this. As a king, you're going to rule. You need wisdom for this. And those who seek me diligently will find me. So we're going to need wisdom to rule as a king. Solomon is a perfect example of this, because he, when he sat down on the throne, knew that he needed wisdom to be able to do his job as a king. We're going to take a look at 1 Kings chapter 3. Solomon has become king. Chapter 3, verse 3, and Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. I told you before in a previous recording that God looks at a person's kingship and measures it by David. So here in chapter 3, God looks at Solomon and says he loves the Lord. He's walking in the statutes of David. So David determined how to be a king, and Solomon's walking in what David learned about how to be a king. And then it says, only he sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. So there's this one thing that Solomon was not doing that David sacrificed on the altar that he was supposed to sacrifice upon, but Solomon is sacrificing and burning incense on mountains, not at the altar that he's supposed to. However, verse 4, the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, which is where he was supposed to go to sacrifice, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon the altar. I'm sorry, it looks like he wasn't supposed to sacrifice there, but God apparently honored it. Verse 5, in Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give thee. Here's a new king. God has offered sacrifice, Solomon's offered sacrifices to the Lord, and the Lord has appeared to Solomon and says, what do you want? Ask what I shall give thee. I mean, think about that. If you were asked that, well, new car, new house, there's a whole long list of things. But Solomon had the right answer. And Solomon said, thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart. And you've kept him for this. I'm just realizing I've got King James Version up here. Let me go back to my new King James. I'm using Bible Gateway, by the way, which I really like. Okay, so you have showed great mercy to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in truth and righteousness and uprightness of heart with you. You have continued this great kindness for him, and you have given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. So God had promised David that he would give him a son to sit upon his throne. Now, O Lord my God, you've made your servant king instead of my father David, but I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in. I don't know how to be a king. I'm new at this. And your servants in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm new at this, and I've got a very great number of people that I am responsible for. Therefore, give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil, for who is able to judge this great people of yours? So above everything else, Solomon wanted an understanding heart to judge the people of God. Wisdom said that understanding is with her. The speech pleased the Lord that Solomon asked this thing. Then God said to him, because you've asked this thing and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice, behold, I have done according to your words. See, I've given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there's not been anyone like you before you, nor shall anyone like you arise after you. So God says, I've given you what you asked for. You want understanding? I've given you a wise and understanding heart. I've also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor. So there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. So Solomon asks for understanding to be able to judge the people that he's responsible for. Father gave him a wise and understanding heart so he could do that, but he also gave him riches and honor, and then said, if you keep my statutes and my commandments as David did as he walked, then I will give you long life as well. I believe that Father is also giving you this today. Ask, what shall I give you? Ask, what shall I give you? With reference to your new kingship, Ask, what shall I give you? I'm going to pause the recording here. You pause the recording here, rather. Decide what you want to ask Father for your kingship. Starting the recording again here. You've asked what you want. If you've asked for wisdom to rule and reign as a king, Father will give you exactly that. And with that, he'll give you riches and honor and long life as long as you keep his commandments. Remember, we are to walk as Jesus walked and be as Jesus is. Walking as he walks can be seen in the Gospels. This is how he lived his life. Being as he is can be seen in Revelation chapter 1 and the rest of Revelation, the sections about Jesus as King of Kings. We are to be a king like Jesus, a king like David, a king like the positive example of Solomon, avoiding the negative example of Solomon. As a king, Deuteronomy tells us not to multiply horses, not to multiply wives. Solomon did both. He multiplied wives, and then he worshiped his wives' gods. And he multiplied horses, which was what was needed for chariots. So think about it as tanks and B-1 bombers these days. It was the most modern form of technology for war. He was depending upon technology for his victories. When Scripture tells us that if we are right with God, he will give us victory. If we are not right with God, then he will raise up enemies against us. You have a lot of enemies coming against you. The question is, what do I need to get right? And then he'll put your enemies under your feet, because we're all meant to be Solomon's, a king of peace, with all our enemies under our feet. But back to Solomon. What did you ask for? Kingship.